Chapter 1. Chapter 1. The cool vibe of summer. The salty breeze whipped through the air, carrying with it the laughter of children and the distant sound of a guitar strumming a familiar tune. Just days before, Brad had stood on the edge of a cliff, his heart heavy with the weight of unspoken words and unresolved feelings. He had watched the sun dip below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the ocean, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling within him. Now, as he stepped into the vibrant beach town of Coral Bay, the sun shone brightly overhead, and the waves crashed rhythmically against the shore, promising a fresh start. Or perhaps a new complication. Brad adjusted his sunglasses, the lenses reflecting the brilliant blue sky, and took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of sunscreen mixed with the sweet aroma of cotton candy wafting from a nearby stand. He was dressed for the occasion in a fitted tank top that showcased his toned arms and a pair of trendy shorts that hugged his hips just right. Confidence radiated off him like the sun's rays, and he felt the familiar thrill of summer coursing through his veins. As he strolled along the boardwalk, the wooden planks creaked beneath his feet, a comforting sound that blended seamlessly with the laughter and chatter surrounding him. The beach was alive with energy. Families sprawled on colorful towels, teenagers playing beach volleyball, and couples strolling hand in hand, their faces lit with the glow of summer romance. Brad couldn't help but smile. This was his favorite time of year, a season that promised adventure and possibility. His gaze drifted to a group of girls gathered around a small table outside an ice cream shop. They were animated, their laughter ringing out like music, and he felt an inexplicable pull toward them. They were dressed in tight jeans and crop tops, their hair cascading in waves, catching the sunlight like spun gold. One girl, with bright blue eyes and a contagious smile, caught his attention. She was animatedly gesturing with her hands, her laughter infectious. "Hey, did you see that guy trying to impress the lifeguard?" One of the girls said, her voice teasing. "He totally wiped out." "Yeah, and he thought he was so smooth." Another chimed in, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I mean, who wears flip-flops to a beach volleyball game?" Brad chuckled to himself, feeling a warmth spread through him. He loved the carefree spirit of summer, the way it brought people together, igniting connections that felt electric. He hesitated for a moment, contemplating whether to approach them. He could already imagine the playful banter, the flirtation that would ensue. But a flicker of doubt crept in. What if they weren't interested? What if they were just enjoying their ice cream, oblivious to the world around them? "Come on, Brad," he muttered under his breath, shaking off the hesitation. What's the worst that could happen? With a newfound resolve, he made his way toward the girls, his heart racing with anticipation. As he approached, the laughter subsided, and all eyes turned to him. He flashed a confident smile, the kind that had always worked for him in the past. "Hey there," he said, leaning casually against the railing. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I'm pretty sure I saw that guy wipe out too." Classic move. The girls exchanged glances, and the one with the bright blue eyes grinned, her cheeks flushed from the sun. "You mean the guy in the neon green shorts? He looked like a fish out of water." "Exactly." Brad laughed, feeling the tension ease. "I thought he was going to take out the lifeguard's stand." The girls erupted into laughter again, and Brad felt a rush of exhilaration. They were warm and welcoming, their energy infectious. As they chatted, he learned their names. Mia, the girl with the blue eyes. Sarah, who had a quick wit. And Jenna, who seemed to be the peacemaker of the group. They were all locals, spending their summer days soaking up the sun and enjoying the beach life. "So, what brings you to Coral Bay?" Mia asked, her curiosity piqued. "I'm just here for the summer," Brad replied, trying to keep his tone casual. "Thought I'd soak up some sun and maybe find some adventure along the way." Adventure, huh? Sarah raised an eyebrow, a playful smirk on her lips. What kind of adventure are we talking about? Surfing? Skydiving? Or are you just here to charm the locals? Brad felt a flush of heat rise to his cheeks, but he met her gaze with a playful grin. A little bit of everything, I hope. But I'm definitely open to suggestions. Mia leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Well, if you're looking for adventure, you should join us for the beach bonfire tonight. We're going to have s'mores, music, and maybe even a little dancing. Dancing? Brad echoed, feigning surprise. I didn't know there was going to be a dance-off. I might need to practice my moves. Oh, don't worry, Jenna chimed in, her tone light. We'll make sure to give you a few pointers. Just don't step on anyone's toes. The banter flowed easily, and as the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Brad felt a sense of belonging he hadn't anticipated. He could see the chemistry between them, the way their laughter intertwined, creating a tapestry of summer joy. But beneath the surface, he sensed an undercurrent of something more. A tension that hinted at unspoken secrets and hidden desires. As the conversation continued, Brad found himself drawn to Mia. There was something about her that captivated him. The way her laughter lit up her face, the spark in her eyes that hinted at a depth he wanted to explore. But just as he felt the connection deepen, a shadow flickered across her expression, a fleeting moment of vulnerability that left him curious and concerned. Are you okay? He asked, his voice softening as he leaned closer. Mia hesitated, her smile faltering for just a moment. Yeah, I'm fine. Just thinking about some stuff, you know. Brad nodded, sensing the weight behind her words. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. Her gaze met his, and for a heartbeat, the world around them faded. There was a connection, a spark that felt electric, but just as quickly, she pulled back, the moment slipping away like sand through his fingers. Thanks, I appreciate it, she said, her smile returning, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. But really, it is nothing. The conversation shifted back to lighter topics, but Brad couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Mia than met the eye. He wanted to know her story, to peel back the layers and discover what lay beneath the surface. But as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the boardwalk, he sensed that tonight would be a night of revelations. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. The Encounter. The sun hung high in the cerulean sky, casting a golden hue over the beach town, where laughter mingled with the rhythmic crash of waves. In the previous chapter, we met Brad, a charismatic young man whose confidence radiated like the summer sun. Dressed in a stylish tank top and trendy shorts, he strolled along the boardwalk, captivated by the vibrant energy of a group of girls enjoying ice cream. Their laughter echoed in his ears, igniting a spark of courage within him. With a deep breath, he prepared to step into their world, unaware of the twists fate had in store. As Brad approached the girls, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. The air was thick with the sweet scent of melting ice cream and the salty tang of the ocean breeze. He could hear the distant sound of seagulls squawking overhead, but all he focused on was the group of girls, their laughter like music that beckoned him closer. He brushed a hand through his tousled hair, trying to smooth the slight nervousness that fluttered in his stomach. Hey there, he called out, his voice steady despite the rapid beating of his heart. The girls turned, their eyes widening with curiosity. Mia, with her sun-kissed skin and wild curls, was the first to respond. She flashed a bright smile, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Look who decided to join the party. She teased, nudging Zoe, who was busy licking her ice cream cone. Zoe, with her playful demeanor and bright blue eyes, looked up, her expression shifting from surprise to intrigue. Are you here to steal our ice cream? Zoe quipped, her tone light but her gaze assessing. Brad chuckled, feeling the tension ease as he stepped closer, the warmth of their laughter wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. Only if you promise to share, he replied, flashing his most charming smile. The girls exchanged glances, their laughter bubbling up again, and Brad felt a rush of exhilaration. This was what he had hoped for. A connection, a spark. Brad, right? Mia asked, tilting her head slightly, her curls bouncing with the movement. I saw you walking by earlier. You've got a pretty good strut. Guilty as charged, he said, striking a playful pose. But I'm not just a pretty face. I've got a killer sense of humor too. He winked, and the girls giggled, their laughter mingling with the sound of the waves. Okay, Mr. Charmer, impress us, Zoe challenged, her eyes narrowing playfully. What's your best joke? Brad paused, his mind racing through a mental catalog of jokes. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? He began, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Because he was outstanding in his field. The girls erupted into laughter, and for a moment, the world around them faded away. Brad felt a rush of warmth at their reaction, the sound of their joy filling him with a sense of belonging he hadn't anticipated. He leaned against the railing of the boardwalk, feeling the sun's rays warm his skin, and let the moment wash over him. Okay, you're funny, Mia admitted, wiping a tear of laughter from her eye. But can you dance? That's the real test. Dance. Brad echoed, feigning shock. You're asking a man of my stature to dance in public. That's a bold move. Come on, show us what you've got. Zoe urged, her enthusiasm infectious. The challenge hung in the air, and Brad felt a thrill of daring surge through him. He glanced around, noting the onlookers who had turned their attention to their little group. All right, but only if you join me, he said, a grin spreading across his face. The girls exchanged excited glances, and before he knew it, they were all standing in a loose circle, the world around them fading into a blur of colors and sounds. As the music from a nearby beach bar spilled into the air, Brad took a deep breath and began to move, his body swaying to the rhythm. The girls joined in, their laughter mixing with the music, creating a symphony of joy that echoed across the boardwalk. Brad felt alive, the energy between them crackling like electricity. Mia twirled, her curls bouncing around her shoulders, while Zoe mimicked his moves with exaggerated flair. They were a whirlwind of laughter and carefree spirit, and for a moment, Brad forgot about everything else. The expectations, the pressures of life. It was just them, lost in the music and the moment. But as the song came to an end, Brad's heart raced for another reason. He caught Mia's gaze, and something shifted in the air between them. The laughter faded, replaced by a charged silence that seemed to stretch on forever. He could see the curiosity in her eyes, the way she tilted her head slightly, as if trying to decipher a puzzle. Okay, Mr. Charmer, she said softly, breaking the spell. What's your story? You can't just be a guy who dances and tells jokes. Brad hesitated, the weight of her question settling over him like a heavy fog. He had always been the life of the party, the one who made people laugh, but revealing his true self felt like stepping onto a tightrope. I'm just trying to figure things out, he admitted, his voice quieter now. I moved here for a fresh start. New town, new adventures. Fresh start, huh? Zoe chimed in, her tone shifting to one of genuine interest. What were you running from? The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken truths. Brad felt a flicker of vulnerability, the kind that made his heart race for all the wrong reasons. He glanced at the ocean, the waves crashing against the shore, and took a deep breath. Just life, I guess. Sometimes it gets overwhelming, and you need to find a place where you can breathe. Mia's expression softened, and for a moment, he saw a glimpse of understanding in her eyes. I get that, she said quietly. Sometimes you just need to escape. Brad nodded, grateful for her empathy. What about you? What brings you to this beach town? Mia exchanged a glance with Zoe, and he could see the unspoken bond between them. We're here for the summer, just soaking up the sun and making memories, she said, her voice light but tinged with something deeper. But it is more than that. We're trying to figure out who we are, too. The honesty in her words struck a chord within him, and he felt a connection forming, a thread weaving their stories together. Maybe we're all just trying to find our place, he mused, his gaze drifting back to the ocean. Or maybe we're just looking for a little adventure. Zoe grinned, her playful spirit returning. Well, you've definitely found it. Dancing with us is the first step. What's next, Brad? Chapter 3. Chapter 3. A game of flirtation. The sun hung high in the cerulean sky, casting a golden glow over the beach town that had quickly become a vibrant backdrop for Brad's summer adventure. The salty breeze danced through the air, mingling with the laughter of sun-kissed tourists and the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore. Just the day before, Brad had mustered the courage to approach a group of girls, their laughter like music that drew him in. Among them were Mia, with her infectious energy, and Zoe, whose playful spirit lit up the beach. Their banter had sparked something in him. A thrill that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Now, as he stood on the soft, warm sand, Brad felt the anticipation of the day ahead. The girls had suggested a game of beach volleyball, and he could already feel the competitive fire igniting within him. He glanced over at Mia, who was tying her hair into a high ponytail, her sun-kissed skin glistening under the sun. There was something magnetic about her, a spark that made his heart race. All right, team, Zoe called out, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. Let's show these boys what we're made of. Brad grinned, his competitive spirit surging. Boys. You mean, the boys, and me, right? He flexed his arms playfully, eliciting a round of laughter from the group. Don't get too cocky, Brad, Mia teased, her eyes sparkling with mischief. We've got some serious skills over here. As they divided into teams, Brad found himself on the same side as Mia and Zoe, while two other girls joined them, giggling and whispering strategies. The sun beat down on them, but the thrill of the game was enough to keep the heat at bay. They drew a line in the sand, marking the boundaries of their makeshift court, and soon the ball was soaring through the air, laughter echoing as they dove and leapt to keep it in play. The game was a whirlwind of energy. Brad's heart raced not just from the competition but from the way Mia moved. Her laughter ringing out like a bell every time she scored a point. He admired the way she threw her head back, her ponytail swinging like a pendulum, and how her cheeks flushed with excitement. Each time their eyes met, a jolt of electricity coursed through him, igniting a spark of chemistry that was impossible to ignore. Nice save, Brad. Zoe cheered, clapping her hands as he dove to keep the ball from hitting the sand. He rolled onto his back, panting, the grains sticking to his skin. The sun felt warm on his face, but it was the thrill of the game. And the girls. That made his heart race. Thanks. But I think I'm going to need a little help over here, he said, glancing at Mia, who was already positioning herself for the next serve. Just watch me, she said, her voice low and confident. I'll show you how it is done. As she served the ball, it sailed over the net with a perfect arc, landing just out of reach of the opposing team. The girls erupted in cheers, and Brad couldn't help but admire Mia's fierce determination. She was a force of nature, and he found himself drawn to her in a way that was both thrilling and terrifying. The game continued, each point bringing them closer together, the lines between competition and flirtation blurring with every playful shove and teasing remark. Brad felt alive, the adrenaline coursing through him, but it was the way Mia looked at him. Her eyes sparkling with challenge. That truly set his heart racing. "Come on, Brad. You can do better than that," Mia called out, her voice teasing as he missed a serve. He shot her a mock glare, but the smile tugging at his lips betrayed him. All right, just you wait." He took a deep breath, shaking off the momentary embarrassment. He could feel the heat rising in his cheeks, but he was determined to impress her. As the game reached its climax, the score was tied, and the tension in the air was palpable. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the sand, and the laughter of the girls echoed like music. Brad felt the weight of the moment, the thrill of competition mingling with something deeper. A connection that was growing stronger with each passing second. "Last point," Zoe shouted, her voice filled with excitement. "Let's make it count." Brad nodded, adrenaline surging through him. He could feel Mia's presence beside him, her energy infectious. They were a team, and he wanted nothing more than to win this for her. The ball was served, and the game erupted into a flurry of movement. Brad dove, leaping to intercept the ball, but in the chaos, he miscalculated. He collided with Mia, their bodies brushing against each other in a moment that felt electric. Time seemed to freeze as they both landed in the sand, laughter erupting around them. Brad's heart raced, not just from the game but from the way Mia's eyes widened in surprise, and then softened with a smile that sent a thrill through him. "Sorry about that," he said, breathless, his face inches from hers. The world around them faded, the laughter of their friends becoming a distant hum. All he could focus on was the warmth radiating from her skin, the way her breath quickened, and the spark of chemistry that ignited between them. Mia's cheeks flushed, and for a moment, they simply stared at each other, the playful banter of the game replaced by a charged silence. "No harm done," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But maybe you should watch where you're diving next time." Brad chuckled, his heart pounding. "I'll keep that in mind. But I have to say, I don't mind the distraction." Her laughter was like music, and he could see the flicker of something deeper in her eyes. A shared understanding, a connection that felt both thrilling and terrifying. But before he could say anything more, Zoe's voice broke the moment. "All right, lovebirds. Get back in the game," she called, her tone teasing. The spell was broken, and Brad felt a rush of heat to his cheeks as he scrambled to his feet, brushing the sand off his body. "Yeah, let's finish this," he said, trying to regain his composure. But the moment lingered in the air, a tension that was both exhilarating and confusing. As the game resumed, Brad found himself stealing glances at Mia, who was now fully focused on the match. Her competitive spirit shone through, and he admired her determination. But beneath that playful exterior, he sensed a deeper connection. A spark that hinted at something more than just a summer fling. With each point scored, the tension between them grew, a silent acknowledgement of the chemistry that had ignited during their brief collision. Brad's heart raced, not just from the game but from the realization that he was falling for her. But the fear of what that meant loomed over him. Chapter 4. The ice cream date. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the beach town as Brad walked alongside Mia and Zoe, the laughter from their volleyball game still echoing in his ears. The salty breeze tousled his hair, and he couldn't shake the exhilaration of their playful competition. He had approached the girls with a mix of confidence and trepidation, but now, with the sun setting and the promise of ice cream ahead, he felt a sense of ease settle over him. "Okay, so who's ready for some ice cream?" Brad asked, his voice light and teasing as they strolled down the boardwalk. The vibrant colors of the beach town surrounded them, with pastel storefronts and the tantalizing scent of waffle cones wafting through the air. "I'm always ready for ice cream," Zoe exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She bounced slightly on her toes, her enthusiasm infectious. Mia, walking beside her, laughed. "You say that about everything, Zoe. But I can't argue with ice cream. What's the place called again?" "Scoop Dreams," Brad replied, a grin spreading across his face. "They have the craziest flavors. I once saw a sriracha chocolate that I still can't believe exists." Zoe wrinkled her nose, clearly unimpressed. "That sounds disgusting. I'm sticking to my classic mint chocolate chip." "Mint chocolate chip is a solid choice," Brad said, glancing sideways at Mia. "What about you?" Mia shrugged, a playful smile dancing on her lips. "I'm a bit of a wild card. I might go for something like lavender honey or even the birthday cake explosion." "Birthday cake explosion. Now that's a flavor I can get behind," Brad said, his heart racing slightly as he caught her gaze. There was something electric in the air between them, a tension that was both thrilling and terrifying. As they approached the ice cream parlor, the colorful decor came into view. Bright pinks and blues adorned the walls, with whimsical murals of ice cream cones and smiling cartoon characters. The sound of laughter and chatter spilled out from the open door, mingling with the soft tunes of a summer playlist. "Welcome to Scoop Dreams," a cheerful voice greeted them as they stepped inside. The shop was bustling with families and friends, all indulging in their sweet treats. The air was thick with the scent of sugar and cream, a delightful invitation to indulge. Brad led the way to the counter, where an array of flavors greeted them like a rainbow. "All right, ladies, the world of ice cream awaits." Zoe leaned over the glass, her eyes wide with wonder. "Oh my gosh, look at that. They have a cereal milk flavor." Mia chuckled, shaking her head. "You're going to need a whole scoop of that just to keep up with your energy." Brad couldn't help but laugh along, feeling the warmth of their camaraderie. He stepped closer to the counter, scanning the options. "I think I'm going to go for the peanut butter cup explosion." Can't resist a classic. As they placed their orders, Brad felt a rush of excitement. He turned to Zoe, who was still debating between flavors. "What's it going to be, Zoe? The fate of your ice cream experience hangs in the balance." Zoe feigned deep contemplation, tapping her chin dramatically. I think I'll go with the cereal milk, after all. It's too intriguing to pass up." "Good choice," Brad said, giving her a playful nudge. "You'll have to let me know if it lives up to the hype." Once they had their cones in hand, they stepped outside, the evening air cooling their skin. The sun was now a fiery orange, dipping below the horizon, casting a warm glow over everything. "Let's find a spot to sit," Mia suggested, scanning the boardwalk for a bench. "I want to savor this moment." Brad nodded, feeling a flutter of anticipation. They found a bench overlooking the beach, where the waves lapped gently at the shore. The sound was soothing, a perfect backdrop to their sweet indulgence. As they settled in, Brad took a moment to observe the girls. Zoe was animatedly describing her flavor, her hands gesturing wildly as she spoke. Mia, on the other hand, was quieter, her eyes focused on the horizon, a thoughtful expression on her face. "Okay, so how is it?" Brad asked Zoe, breaking the momentary silence. Zoe took a big lick of her ice cream, her eyes lighting up. "It's amazing. It tastes like childhood." Brad chuckled, then turned to Mia. "What about you? How's the lavender honey?" Mia took a delicate bite, her expression shifting to one of delight. "It's surprisingly good. The lavender is subtle, but it adds a nice floral note." Brad watched her, captivated by the way her eyes sparkled with enjoyment. You have a refined palate, Mia. I admire that. She met his gaze, a hint of color rising to her cheeks. Thanks, I guess. I just like to try new things. Speaking of trying new things, Zoe interjected, her tone teasing, what's the deal with you two? I saw that spark during volleyball. Brad's heart raced at the implication. He shot a glance at Mia, who was suddenly very interested in her ice cream cone. What spark? He asked, trying to sound casual, though his voice betrayed him with a slight tremor. Zoe raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing on her lips. Oh, come on. You two were practically glowing when you brushed against each other. Mia's eyes darted to Brad, and he could see the flush creeping up her neck. It was just an accident, she said quickly, her voice a little too high. Sure, an accident, Zoe replied, clearly enjoying the moment. But accidents can lead to all sorts of fun. Brad felt the tension in the air shift, a mix of embarrassment and excitement swirling within him. Well, I mean, it was a friendly game. Nothing more. Mia looked at him, her expression unreadable. Right. Just friendly. The air between them thickened, and Brad could sense the unspoken words hanging in the balance. He wanted to reach out, to bridge the gap that had formed, but the moment felt fragile, like a bubble ready to burst. Zoe, sensing the shift, took a big bite of her ice cream, breaking the tension with a loud, exaggerated slurp. Okay, enough about sparks. Let's talk about the best beach activities. Who's up for a midnight bonfire later? Brad seized the opportunity to redirect the conversation. I'm in. Nothing beats s'mores under the stars. Mia smiled, her earlier tension easing. Count me in too. I love bonfires. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Secrets revealed. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the beach town as the laughter of Brad and the girls echoed against the backdrop of crashing waves. After a spirited game of beach volleyball, where Brad's competitive nature had shone through, the group had retreated to the nearby ice cream parlor. The air was thick with the sweet scent of waffle cones and the sound of cheerful chatter, a perfect setting for the budding connections that were beginning to form. As they settled into a cozy booth, the atmosphere was charged with playful banter and flirtation, but beneath the surface, something deeper was waiting to be uncovered. Brad leaned back against the plush vinyl seat, his heart racing with excitement and a hint of nervousness. He had never been one to shy away from a challenge, but the chemistry he felt with Mia was unlike anything he had experienced before. Her laughter was infectious, and every time their eyes met, it felt as if the world around them faded away. He glanced at Zoe, who was animatedly recounting a funny story about a recent photography mishap, her expressive hands punctuating the air. So, there I was, trying to capture the perfect sunset shot, and I tripped over my own feet. Zoe exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I ended up with a picture of my face in the sand instead of the sunset. Mia burst into laughter, her eyes crinkling at the corners. That's classic. You should frame that one and call it, The Art of Falling. Brad chuckled, feeling the warmth of their camaraderie envelop him. I'd buy that print, he said, his gaze shifting between the two girls. But seriously, Zoe, you're really into photography. That's awesome. Zoe nodded, her enthusiasm palpable. Yeah, I love capturing moments. It's like freezing time, you know. I want to tell stories through my photos. She paused, her expression turning a bit more serious. I dream of traveling the world, documenting different cultures and experiences. It's a big dream, but I'm determined to make it happen. Brad felt a surge of admiration for her ambition. That's incredible. You should definitely go for it. The world needs more people like you who see beauty in everything. Mia leaned in, Her curiosity piqued. What about you, Brad? What's your dream? Brad hesitated for a moment, the question hanging in the air like a weight. He had always been the life of the party, the guy who made everyone laugh, but beneath that facade lay a yearning for something more. Honestly, I've always wanted to be a fashion designer, he confessed, surprising even himself with the admission. I love creating things, and fashion feels like a way to express who I am. Mia's eyes widened, and she leaned closer, her interest evident. That's amazing. I can totally see you doing that. You have such a great sense of style. Thanks, he replied, feeling a rush of warmth at her compliment. But it is more than just clothes for me. It's about telling a story, making people feel something through what they wear. Zoe nodded, her expression thoughtful. That's really profound. I think art, in any form, has that power. It connects us, makes us feel less alone. Brad felt a spark of connection with both girls, their dreams intertwining like threads in a tapestry. He wanted to encourage them, to help them see that their aspirations were within reach. He shifted slightly in his seat, feeling bold. You know, Mia, he said, his voice low and sincere, if you're passionate about dance, you should pursue it. Don't let anything hold you back. You have this incredible energy that deserves to be shared with the world. Mia's cheeks flushed, and she looked down at her ice cream, a shy smile creeping onto her lips. I've always loved dancing. It's my escape, my way of expressing myself. But I don't know if I'm good enough to make it a career. Brad reached out, lightly touching her waist, his fingers brushing against the fabric of her sundress. You are good enough. You just have to believe in yourself. I can see how much it means to you. The moment hung between them, electric and charged. Mia's breath caught, and for a heartbeat, the world around them faded into a blur. The laughter of other patrons, the clinking of spoons against bowls, all became distant sounds as they locked eyes. There was a vulnerability in her gaze, a flicker of hope mingled with uncertainty. Zoe, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, cleared her throat, breaking the spell. Okay, enough of the serious stuff. Let's talk about something fun. What's the craziest thing you've ever done? Brad chuckled, grateful for the reprieve. Oh, I've done some wild things. Like the time I tried to surf for the first time and ended up face planting into the waves. I think I swallowed half the ocean that day. Mia laughed, her earlier tension dissipating. I can't imagine that. You seem too stylish to be a surfer. Hey, style is important, even in the water, he shot back playfully, his confidence returning. But I'm always up for a challenge. What about you, Zoe? What's your wildest adventure? Zoe leaned back, a mischievous glint in her eye. Well, there was that time I went on a spontaneous road trip with my friends. We didn't have a plan, just packed our bags and drove. We ended up at this random music festival in the middle of nowhere. It was insane. Brad and Mia exchanged impressed glances. That sounds incredible, Mia exclaimed. I love spontaneous adventures. As the conversation flowed, Brad felt the bond between them deepening. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams, each revelation drawing them closer. Yet, beneath the surface, he sensed an undercurrent of unspoken truths, secrets waiting to be revealed. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the parlor, Brad's thoughts drifted back to Mia. There was something about her that intrigued him, a depth that hinted at untold stories. He wanted to know more, to peel back the layers and discover what lay beneath her vibrant exterior. Mia, he said, his tone shifting to something more serious, is there something you've always wanted to do but haven't had the chance to? She hesitated, her gaze flickering away as if searching for the right words. Well, I've always wanted to perform in front of a big audience. Dance has always been my passion, but I've never had the courage to take that leap. Brad leaned closer, his heart pounding. Why not? You have the talent. You just need to take that first step. Mia's eyes met his, and for a moment, the world around them faded again. It's scary, you know. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Failure is part of the journey. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. The dance party. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over the beach town, where laughter mingled with the salty breeze. Brad had spent the day navigating the vibrant energy of the boardwalk, where he had met Mia and Zoe, two girls whose laughter was as infectious as the summer sun was warm. After a thrilling game of beach volleyball and a delightful ice cream outing, he felt a connection blossoming. One that was both exhilarating and terrifying. As they walked together, the anticipation of the evening ahead crackled in the air, promising adventure and perhaps something more. The local beach party was in full swing when they arrived, the sound of music pulsing like a heartbeat through the warm summer night. Colorful lights strung between palm trees flickered like stars, illuminating the faces of those dancing on the sand. The scent of grilled food wafted through the air, mingling with the salty tang of the ocean, creating an intoxicating atmosphere that made Brad's heart race. Wow, this place is amazing! Zoe exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement as she took in the scene. Her playful spirit was infectious, and Brad couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm. Let's dance, Mia suggested, her voice barely audible over the booming bass. She tugged at Brad's arm, her eyes sparkling with mischief. He felt a rush of adrenaline at her touch, a thrill that sent a shiver down his spine. Lead the way, he replied, his voice steady despite the fluttering in his stomach. He followed her into the throng of bodies swaying to the rhythm, the sand warm beneath his feet. The music enveloped them, a blend of upbeat pop and rhythmic beats that made it impossible to stand still. As they danced, the world around them faded, leaving only the four of them. Brad, Mia, Zoe, and the pulsating energy of the party. The girls moved with a fluid grace, their laughter ringing out like music in itself. Brad found himself drawn to Mia, her movements captivating as she twirled and spun, her hair catching the light like spun gold. "Show me your moves," Zoe shouted, her voice playful as she challenged Brad to keep up. He laughed, letting the music guide him, his body responding instinctively. The carefree atmosphere made him feel alive, and he lost himself in the rhythm, forgetting the worries that had plagued him earlier. Mia danced closer, her eyes locked onto his, and for a moment, the noise of the party faded into the background. The connection between them felt electric, a current that pulsed with every beat. He could see the way her cheeks flushed with excitement, and it made his heart race even faster. "Is this how you dance?" she teased, her voice playful yet laced with something deeper. "I expected more from the guy who plays volleyball like a pro." Brad grinned, his confidence surging. "Oh, I can do better than this," he replied, stepping closer, their bodies almost touching. The heat radiating from her was intoxicating, and he could feel the tension building between them, thick and palpable. As the song shifted to a slower tempo, the atmosphere transformed. Couples began to sway gently, their movements intimate and close. Brad felt a surge of boldness, a desire to bridge the gap between them. He reached out, pulling Mia closer, their bodies swaying together in perfect harmony. The world around them blurred, leaving only the two of them in their own bubble. "Is this okay?" he asked, his voice low, barely above a whisper. He searched her eyes for any sign of hesitation, but all he found was a spark of something that mirrored his own feelings. Mia nodded, her breath hitching slightly as she leaned into him. "More than okay," she murmured, her voice soft and inviting. The warmth of her body against his sent a thrill through him, igniting a fire he hadn't anticipated. They moved together, the rhythm of the music guiding them as they lost themselves in the moment. Brad could feel the warmth of her breath against his skin, and the intoxicating scent of coconut sunscreen lingered in the air around them. Every sway, every subtle shift of their bodies felt charged with unspoken words, a tension that hung between them like a fragile thread. Zoe danced nearby, her laughter ringing out as she twirled with a group of friends, but Brad's focus remained solely on Mia. He could see the way her eyes sparkled under the lights, the way her lips curled into a smile that made his heart skip a beat. He wanted to know everything about her, to dive deeper into the connection they were forging. "Tell me about your dance," he said, his voice barely audible over the music. "You mentioned it earlier. What do you love about it?" Mia's expression shifted, a flicker of vulnerability crossing her features. "It's freeing," she replied, her gaze drifting to the sand beneath their feet. "When I dance, I feel like I can express everything I can't say with words. It's like I'm telling a story without speaking." Brad nodded, captivated by her passion. "I get that. It's like when I'm on the volleyball court. Every serve, every spike. It is all part of a bigger picture." He paused, searching her eyes. "What's your story, Mia?" She hesitated, her smile faltering for just a moment. "I guess I've always felt like I'm meant for something more. But sometimes, it is hard to believe in yourself, you know." Her voice was soft, almost fragile, and Brad felt a pang of empathy for her. "I think you're incredible," he said, his sincerity shining through. "You have this energy that draws people in. You shouldn't doubt yourself." Mia looked up, her eyes meeting his with an intensity that made his heart race. "Thank you, Brad. That means a lot." There was a moment of silence, the world around them fading as they held each other's gaze. The air was thick with unspoken words, a tension that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Just then, the music shifted again, the tempo picking up as a new song blared through the speakers. The moment shattered, and the crowd erupted into cheers, pulling them back into the whirlwind of the party. Brad felt a pang of disappointment, but he quickly masked it with a grin, determined to keep the energy alive. "Come on. Let's show them how it is done," he shouted, pulling Mia back into the fray. They danced wildly, their movements becoming more carefree as the night wore on. Laughter bubbled between them, and for a moment, the weight of the world felt light. But as the night deepened, Brad couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing beneath the surface. He caught glimpses of Mia's thoughtful expressions, the way her laughter sometimes faltered, and he wondered what secrets she held close to her heart. The chemistry between them was undeniable, but there was a tension that hinted at something more. A fear of vulnerability, perhaps, or the weight of unspoken truths. As the party continued, Brad found himself stealing glances at Mia. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. A moment of truth. The night had unfolded like a vibrant tapestry, woven with laughter, music, and the salty tang of the ocean breeze. Brad had felt the thrill of connection with Mia, a spark igniting between them as they danced under the stars. The beach party pulsed with energy, but it was the quiet moments that lingered in his mind. The way Mia's laughter echoed in his ears, the warmth of her hand brushing against his. He had never felt so alive, so drawn to someone, and as the evening wore on, he knew he had to take a step forward. Now, as the crowd swayed to the rhythm of the music, Brad led Mia away from the thrumming heart of the party. The sound of waves crashing against the shore provided a soothing backdrop, a gentle reminder of the world beyond their little bubble. They found a secluded spot, a small dune where the sand was cool beneath their feet and the stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across a velvet sky. "Wow," Mia breathed, looking up at the vast expanse above them. It's beautiful out here. Brad turned to her, his heart racing. Not as beautiful as you, he said, his voice low and sincere. He could see the blush creeping up her cheeks, illuminated by the soft glow of the moonlight. I've been enchanted by you since the moment we met. Mia's eyes sparkled with surprise and delight, and for a moment, the world around them faded away. The laughter from the party became a distant echo, and all that mattered was the connection crackling between them. She stepped closer, her breath hitching slightly as she searched his gaze for sincerity. Really? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. You mean that? Absolutely, Brad replied, his heart pounding in his chest. You're incredible, Mia. The way you dance, the way you laugh. It is like you bring the whole world to life. Mia's smile widened, and she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, a nervous gesture that only made her more endearing. I've felt something too, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. I didn't want to scare you off, though. Scare me off. Brad chuckled softly, shaking his head. You could never scare me off. The air between them thickened with unspoken words, and as they leaned in, the moment felt electric. Brad could feel the warmth radiating from her body, the sweet scent of coconut and sunscreen mingling in the air. He was just about to close the distance between them when... Hey, lovebirds! What's going on over here? Zoe's voice rang out, playful and teasing, shattering the intimate bubble they had created. Brad and Mia sprang apart, their cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Zoe stood a few feet away, hands on her hips, a mischievous grin plastered across her face. Didn't think you'd be hiding out here, did you? Mia laughed nervously, her eyes darting between Brad and Zoe. We were just enjoying the view. Right, Zoe said, raising an eyebrow. The view of the stars or the view of each other? She winked, clearly enjoying the moment. You two are too cute. I had to come see what you were up to. Brad felt a mix of frustration and amusement. He had been so close to sharing something profound with Mia, and now it felt like the moment had slipped through his fingers. But as he looked at Mia, he saw the glimmer of laughter in her eyes, the way she rolled her shoulders back and regained her composure. She was resilient, and that only made him more drawn to her. Just talking about our favorite ice cream flavors, Brad said, trying to keep the mood light. You know, the important stuff. Zoe laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Well, I hope you're not planning to steal her away from me. I've got dibs on her for the rest of the night. Mia shot Brad a look that was both apologetic and amused. I think we can share, she said, her voice playful. But I'm definitely not sharing my favorite flavor. It's a secret. Secrets, huh? Zoe leaned in closer, feigning seriousness. I love secrets. Especially when they involve ice cream. Brad chuckled, feeling the tension ease slightly. All right. We'll save the secrets for later. How about we head back to the party? Sounds good to me, Zoe exclaimed, turning on her heel and leading the way back toward the music. But as they walked, Brad couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between him and Mia. The moment had been interrupted, yes, but the connection was still there, simmering just beneath the surface. As they rejoined the throng of partygoers, the music pulsed through the air, and the energy was infectious. Brad watched as Mia and Zoe danced together, their laughter ringing out like music in itself. He felt a surge of admiration for Mia, her spirit so vibrant and alive. But beneath that admiration was a growing sense of urgency. He needed to tell her how he felt, and soon. The night wore on, filled with dancing and laughter, but Brad's mind was elsewhere. He caught glimpses of Mia, her hair catching the light as she twirled, her smile radiant and infectious. Each time their eyes met, a spark ignited, and he could feel the weight of unspoken words hanging between them. Finally, as the party began to wind down and the crowd thinned, Brad seized the moment. He approached Mia, who was sitting on a beach towel, her legs tucked beneath her. The moonlight cast a silvery glow on her face, and for a moment, he was struck by how beautiful she looked. "Hey," he said softly, crouching down beside her. "Can we talk?" Mia looked up, her expression shifting from playful to serious. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Brad took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his emotions pressing against his chest. "I know tonight didn't go exactly as planned," he began, his voice steady. "But I can't shake this feeling I have about you. It's like, I don't know, like I've known you forever." Mia's gaze softened, and she nodded slowly. "I feel it too, Brad. There's something about you that just draws me in." He reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "I want to be honest with you. I've never felt this way about anyone before. It scares me a little, but I can't ignore it." Mia's breath caught, and she squeezed his hand gently. "I'm scared too. But I don't want to let fear hold me back. I want to explore this. Whatever it is between us." Brad's heart raced at her words, a rush of hope flooding through him. "So, what do we do now?" "Let's take it one step at a time," she suggested, her eyes sparkling with determination. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. The unexpected twist. The sun rose over the beach town, casting a golden hue across the sand and surf. Brad awoke with a lingering warmth in his chest, a remnant of the previous night's electric moments with Mia. They had danced under the stars, their laughter mingling with the sound of waves crashing against the shore. Just as he had leaned in to kiss her, Zoe's teasing interruption had shattered the moment, but the chemistry between him and Mia had been undeniable. Now, however, as he sat up in bed, the warmth was quickly replaced by a chill of uncertainty. He had spent the night tossing and turning, replaying every word, every touch. But now, as the reality of the day settled in, he felt a gnawing anxiety. What if last night had been a fleeting moment, a spark that would fizzle out before it could ignite into something more? After a quick shower, Brad dressed in a casual t-shirt and shorts, his mind racing with thoughts of Mia. He grabbed his phone, hesitating for a moment before scrolling through his messages. There was nothing from her. He sighed, the weight of unspoken words pressing heavily on his chest. As he made his way to the beach, the salty breeze tousled his hair, and the familiar sounds of laughter and music filled the air. The beach was alive with activity, but all he could think about was Mia. He spotted Zoe sitting on a towel, her camera poised, capturing the vibrant scene around her. She looked up and waved, her smile brightening the overcast morning. "Hey, Brad. Come join us," she called, her voice cutting through his thoughts. He approached, forcing a smile as he settled onto the sand beside her. "What are you up to?" "Just trying to get some good shots for my portfolio," she replied, adjusting the lens. "You know, capturing the essence of summer." Brad nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. "Have you seen Mia?" Zoe's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of something unreadable crossing her face. "She's around. I think she's meeting some friends." Brad's heart sank. He had hoped to find her, to talk to her about last night, to confess the feelings that had blossomed so unexpectedly. But now, uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud. "Are you okay?" Zoe asked, her tone softening as she lowered her camera. "You seem a bit off." "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, forcing a casual tone. "About last night." Zoe's gaze sharpened, and she leaned in closer. "What about it?" He hesitated, the words caught in his throat. "I don't know. I just feel like I need to talk to Mia." About what? She pressed, her eyes searching his. About us, he finally admitted, the weight of his confession hanging in the air. Zoe's expression shifted again, a mix of concern and something else. Something he couldn't quite place. Brad, can I be honest with you? Sure, he replied, his heart racing. I like you, she said, her voice steady but her eyes betraying a hint of vulnerability. I've liked you for a while now. The world around him seemed to fade, the laughter of beachgoers and the sound of waves crashing becoming a distant echo. Zoe, wait, let me finish, she interrupted, her tone urgent. I know you and Mia have this thing, but I just thought you should know how I feel before it is too late. Brad's mind raced. He had never considered Zoe in that way, but now, her confession complicated everything. I appreciate you telling me, but I really like Mia, he said, his voice firm but gentle. Zoe's smile faltered, and he could see the hurt flicker in her eyes. I get it, I didn't want to keep it to myself anymore. Zoe, you're amazing. Don't, she said, cutting him off. I don't want pity. I just wanted to be honest. The air between them thickened with unspoken tension. Brad felt a pang of guilt, knowing he had unintentionally hurt her. I'm sorry, he said softly. I didn't mean to put you in this position. Zoe shrugged, her gaze drifting to the horizon. It's fine. I just hope you tell Mia how you feel before she leaves. Wait, what do you mean? Brad asked, his heart racing again. Zoe turned to him, her expression serious. She's moving, Brad. She got a dance opportunity in another city. She leaves next week. The words hit him like a wave crashing against the shore, knocking the breath from his lungs. What? She didn't say anything about that. I know, Zoe replied, her voice softening. She's been keeping it to herself. I think she didn't want to ruin the fun we've been having. Brad's mind spun. The carefree moments they had shared now felt tainted by the impending loss. I need to talk to her, he said, urgency flooding his voice. Just be careful, Zoe warned, her eyes searching his. You don't want to hurt her more than she already is. He nodded, determination coursing through him. I won't. I just need to find her. As he stood up, Zoe reached out, grabbing his wrist. Brad, wait. Just think about what you're going to say. You don't want to overwhelm her. I know, he replied, pulling away gently. But I can't let her leave without telling her how I feel. With that, he turned and walked away, the weight of Zoe's words heavy on his shoulders. He scanned the beach, searching for Mia among the throngs of sunbathers and surfers. The vibrant colors of the beach seemed muted now, overshadowed by the impending reality of her departure. He spotted her a few yards away, laughing with a group of friends, her hair catching the sunlight like spun gold. His heart raced as he approached, each step filled with a mix of excitement and dread. Mia, he called, his voice cutting through the laughter. She turned, her smile brightening as she spotted him. Hey, Brad. He reached her, his breath catching in his throat as he took in her beauty. Can we talk? Sure, she replied, her enthusiasm infectious. What's up? He led her away from the group, finding a quieter spot near the water's edge. The sound of waves crashing against the shore filled the air, a rhythmic backdrop to the whirlwind of emotions swirling within him. Mia, I need to talk to you about last night, he began, his heart pounding. Last night was fun, she said, her eyes sparkling. I had a great time. Yeah, me too, he said, his voice faltering. But it is more than that. I feel like there's something between us. Chapter 9. Chapter 9. The Decision. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the beach town, where laughter and the sound of waves crashing against the shore created a symphony of summer. Brad stood at the edge of the boardwalk, his heart racing as he replayed the events of the previous day. He had met Mia and Zoe, two vibrant souls who had ignited something within him he hadn't felt in a long time. The thrill of their laughter, the spark of chemistry with Mia, and the unexpected affection from Zoe had left him in a whirlwind of emotions. But now, with Mia preparing to leave for her dance opportunity, Brad felt the weight of his feelings pressing down on him like the summer heat. He took a deep breath, the salty air filling his lungs, and glanced toward the beach where he had shared so many moments with the girls. The volleyball net still stood, a reminder of their playful competition, and the ice cream parlor was just a short walk away, its colorful facade beckoning him. But today, he wasn't here for games or sweet treats. He was here to confront the tangled web of emotions that had ensnared him. As he walked along the boardwalk, he spotted Mia sitting on a bench, her long hair cascading over her shoulders, catching the light like spun gold. She was lost in thought, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the ocean met the sky. Brad's heart ached at the sight of her, the way her lips curved into a soft smile as she watched the waves. He approached her slowly, his mind racing with the words he wanted to say. "Mia," he called softly, and she turned, her eyes lighting up as they met his. "Hey, Brad," she exclaimed, her voice brightening the air around them. "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to talk to you," he said, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions brewing inside him. "Can we sit?" "Of course," she replied, shifting to make room for him on the bench. The scent of coconut sunscreen lingered in the air, mingling with the salty breeze, creating a familiar comfort. They sat in silence for a moment, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore filling the space between them. Brad could feel the tension building, the weight of his unspoken feelings pressing down on him. He turned to her, searching for the right words. "I've been thinking a lot about us." Mia's expression shifted, curiosity mingling with apprehension. "Us?" "Yeah," he said, his heart racing. "I know you're leaving soon, and I don't want to miss my chance to tell you how I feel." Her eyes widened slightly, and he could see the flicker of hope mixed with uncertainty. "Brad, I like you, Mia," he interrupted, his voice firm yet gentle. "I really like you. The way you dance, the way you laugh. It is all so captivating. I've never felt this way about anyone before." Mia's cheeks flushed a delicate pink, and she looked down at her hands, fidgeting with the hem of her sundress. "I like you too, Brad. I really do. But I'm moving, and I don't want to complicate things." "Complicate?" he echoed, a hint of desperation creeping into his voice. "What if I want to try? What if I want to make it work, even with the distance?" She looked up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "It's not that simple. I have this opportunity, and it is everything I've ever wanted. I can't just throw it away for something that might not last." Brad felt a pang of frustration mixed with sadness. "But what if it could last? What if we could make it work?" Mia's gaze softened, and she reached out, placing her hand over his. "You're amazing, Brad. You really are. But I don't want to hold you back either. You deserve someone who can be there for you, not someone who's leaving." The weight of her words settled heavily in his chest. He wanted to argue, to convince her that they could find a way, but deep down, he knew she was right. The reality of their situation loomed like a dark cloud, threatening to overshadow the light they had shared. Just then, the sound of laughter broke through their conversation, and Brad turned to see Zoe approaching, her bright smile lighting up her face. "Hey, you two. What's going on?" she asked, her eyes darting between them, sensing the tension in the air. "Just talking," Brad replied, forcing a smile. He felt a rush of relief at Zoe's arrival, but it also complicated things further. He had wanted to be honest with Mia, but now he felt the need to shield his feelings, to protect the fragile moment they had shared. Zoe plopped down on the other side of Mia, her energy infectious. "You guys look serious. What's the scoop?" Mia exchanged a glance with Brad, and he could see the unspoken understanding between them. "Just discussing future plans," Mia said lightly, her voice betraying none of the emotions that had just been laid bare. "Future plans, huh?" Zoe leaned in, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Are we talking about dance competitions or something more romantic?" Brad felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He wanted to tell Zoe the truth, to express the confusion swirling within him, but the words felt trapped in his throat. Instead, he forced a chuckle. "Just trying to figure out how to win a dance-off, you know." Zoe laughed, her carefree spirit a balm to the tension. "Well, if you need a partner, I'm your girl. I've got some killer moves." Mia smiled, but Brad could see the flicker of sadness in her eyes. "I'm sure you do," she said, her voice soft. "But I think I'll be busy with my own dance journey soon." Zoe's expression shifted, a hint of concern crossing her features. "Wait, what do you mean? You're really leaving?" Mia nodded, her voice steady. "I got the opportunity I've been dreaming of. I leave next week." Zoe's face fell, and Brad could see the realization dawning on her. "Oh, wow. I didn't know it was so soon." "Yeah," Mia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't want to make a big deal out of it." Brad felt a pang of guilt wash over him. He had been so focused on his own feelings that he hadn't considered how this news would affect Zoe. She had been so supportive, so full of life, and now he could see the shadows creeping into her bright demeanor. "Are you excited?" Zoe asked, her voice tinged with a mix of enthusiasm and sadness. "I am," Mia replied, her smile faltering. "But it is hard to leave everything behind. Especially you guys." Brad's heart ached at the sight of Mia's struggle. He wanted to reach out, to comfort her. Chapter 10. Chapter 10. New Beginnings. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the beach town, where laughter mingled with the sound of crashing waves. Just hours earlier, Brad had laid his heart bare, confessing his feelings for Mia while navigating the unexpected affection from Zoe. The air had been thick with tension, but now, as the three of them stood together, the atmosphere felt lighter, almost electric with possibility. Mia, her dark hair catching the light like spun gold, looked at Brad with a mixture of surprise and delight. "You really mean it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid to break the spell that had settled over them. "Yeah," Brad replied, his heart racing. "I didn't want to leave anything unsaid. I didn't expect to feel this way so quickly." Zoe, standing slightly apart, watched the exchange with a knowing smile. She had always been the supportive friend, the one who cheered on Mia's dreams and encouraged her to take risks. "I think it is great," she chimed in, her tone light but sincere. "You should explore this. You never know where it might lead." Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement, and for a moment, the weight of their earlier conversation faded into the background. "Okay, let's see where this goes," she said, her smile infectious. "But first, how about we celebrate this new beginning with some ice cream?" Brad chuckled, the tension in his chest easing as he nodded. "I know just the place. They have a flavor called Sunset Bliss, that's supposed to be amazing." "Lead the way," Zoe exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious as she linked her arm with Mia's, pulling her along. Brad fell into step beside them, his heart lightening with each step they took toward the ice cream parlor. The shop was a kaleidoscope of colors, with walls painted in bright pastels and quirky decorations hanging from the ceiling. The scent of waffle cones wafted through the air, mingling with the sweet aroma of various flavors. As they entered, the cheerful jingle of a bell announced their arrival, and the shop's ambiance enveloped them like a warm hug. "Look at all these flavors!" Mia exclaimed, her eyes wide with delight as she scanned the menu board. "How do you even choose?" "Just go with your gut," Brad suggested, leaning against the counter with a playful grin. "Or, just pick the one that sounds the most ridiculous." Zoe laughed, her laughter bright and melodic. "I'm definitely trying. Cotton candy unicorn. That sounds like a party in a cone." Mia giggled, her earlier nervousness dissipating. "I think I'll go for tropical paradise. I could use a little escape." Brad watched as Mia made her choice, her face lighting up with excitement. He felt a warmth spread through him, a sense of hope that maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something beautiful. "I'll have the sunset bliss, then," he said, stepping up to the counter. As they waited for their orders, the playful banter continued, each moment weaving them closer together. Brad felt a sense of ease with both girls, a rare connection that made him forget the complications of the previous day. He glanced at Zoe, who was watching him with a knowing smile, and then back at Mia, who was lost in thought, her fingers absent-mindedly playing with a strand of hair. "Hey, Mia," he said, breaking the comfortable silence. "What's the first thing you want to do when you get back to the city?" Mia's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I want to take a dance class at that new studio downtown. They have a contemporary workshop that looks amazing. I've been dreaming about it for ages." "Sounds incredible," Brad replied, genuinely impressed. "You should totally go for it. You've got the talent." "Thanks." She beamed, her cheeks flushing slightly. "What about you? What's next for you?" Brad hesitated, the question pulling him from the carefree moment. "I'm not sure yet. I've been thinking about taking a trip, maybe to explore some fashion scenes in other cities. I want to see what's out there." Zoe chimed in, her voice encouraging. "You should. You have such a unique style. I can see you making waves in the fashion world." Brad felt a rush of gratitude for her support. "Thanks, Zoe. That means a lot coming from you." Their ice cream orders arrived, and they settled into a cozy corner booth, the vibrant atmosphere of the shop buzzing around them. As they dug into their cones, the conversation flowed effortlessly, laughter punctuating their words like the rhythmic crashing of waves outside. But beneath the surface, a current of tension lingered. Brad couldn't shake the feeling that while they were all enjoying this moment, the complexities of their emotions were still simmering just below. He glanced at Mia, who was animatedly discussing her dance aspirations, and then at Zoe, who was listening intently, her expression a mix of support and something else. Something he couldn't quite place. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the shop's windows, Brad felt a shift in the air. The laughter faded slightly, replaced by a more serious undertone. "So, what happens now?" he asked, his voice steady but laced with uncertainty. Mia looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "I think we just take it one day at a time. I want to see where this goes with you, Brad. But I also don't want to rush anything." Zoe nodded in agreement, her eyes flickering between them. "Yeah, I think that's the best approach. We're all friends here, and I want to support both of you." Brad felt a swell of appreciation for Zoe's understanding. "I'm glad you're okay with this," he said, his gaze shifting back to Mia. "I really do like you, Mia. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page." Mia smiled softly, her eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. "We are. I'm excited to explore this connection, but I also want to keep things light and fun." No pressure. Exactly, Zoe added, her tone lightening the mood. Let's just enjoy each other's company and see where it leads. As they finished their ice cream, the conversation shifted back to playful banter, the earlier tension dissipating like the last rays of sunlight. They shared stories, laughter echoing around them, and for a moment, it felt like everything was perfect. But as they stepped back outside, the cool evening air wrapping around them, Brad couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the calm before the storm. He glanced at Mia, who was laughing at something Zoe had said, and felt a pang of uncertainty. What if things didn't go as smoothly as they hoped? What if the complexities of their feelings became too much to handle? As they walked along the boardwalk, the sound of waves crashing against the shore filled the air.